Yeah, so this issue about male and female instructors, it seems only natural. The woman's way of expression is quite different from a man's way of expression. And in the traditional dances, there are dances that are specifically for women, and there are dances specifically for men.
Right.
So there are rhythms to those effects. So, it only stands to reason that you would feel more in presence and, from having a woman's, instruction on that. So this is a good thing. So now, what other issues of life, so to speak, do you gain from participating in African dance?
Well, I would just even like to mention that recently I met a woman who is an ethnomusicologist at Duquesne University, and she was presenting on African dance and the utility behind African dance. And I think that one of the things that we sometimes fall short on as people in the West doing African dance is actually the function behind it. We recognize, that this might be a dance for harvest, or this is a dance that's done to celebrate the storyteller, or this is done at different festivals, but oftentimes we don't really recognize the true history behind it or her story behind it, and we just sort of do it for performance sake. But what I recognized from meeting this sister from Duquesne is that the origins of dance on the continent was simply for function. Everything was done for a functional reason. It wasn't intended for performance at the time that it was developed, and the developments of movements come from just the reason that you're doing it. So for example, she showed videos that she had actually recorded herself as part of her study when she had gone back home to Nigeria, and showing movements of women doing things like this. And this, we might do it as a dance move, but it was actually based upon rowing a boat. The women were rowing the boat, so it became a rhythm. So it was to a rhythm, because you work together to row. So now everyone's doing this as they're rowing the boat. And so she just showed different movements that were done for specific reasons. And what I would like to even incorporate more into what we do on this side of the ocean is to bring a regard to the utility behind the dance, so that we are actually connected to the traditions of it, not simply within the context of what the rhythm sounds like and what movements look like in conjunction with the rhythms, but the specific functions of the movements as to why they were being done. So in talking about the issues that are related to what I see in dance, I see somewhat of a gap at times between what we do in terms of performance and what the origins of actual music and movements are. And that gap that exists is what I would like to bridge, so that we are actually connecting to the history and traditions, as we say that we do, in terms of the work within Legacy Arts. That's part of our mission, is to connect to the history and traditions of African art throughout the diaspora. And in doing so, we are having that part of our Sankofa experience and going back to the origins of where we come from, so that we can recognize ourselves in the present for the sake of the future.
So you're attempting to bring your study of African dance, or the study of African dance, into more into a lifestyle. Is that where you're going with that?
To a certain extent, not merely as a lifestyle, not specifically as a lifestyle, but also just seeing the origins more clearly. You know, I think that one of the things that I sometimes feel limited in as a person who has studied dance to a certain extent is the actual study, you know, and the actual foundations in the sort of anthropology behind it. You know, I think that we take one aspect of it and then we do it, and we do it well. You know, we might do it well in terms of we can move, you know, we can drum, and we can bring the harmony between the dancers and the drummers, and we can put it together and we can put it on stage and it looks good, you know, and it feels good to see it. But I would like for us to even take it a bit further and show more clearly where it comes from. And not only where it comes from, but why we are connected to it. So yes, we feel connected because it vibrates. We vibrate with the drum. But also even talking about why did we use the drum? You know, why were rhythms created? Even, I know there's this a video that Brother Shabaka, who is one of the founders of the Sankova Village for the Arts, he shows to his students. And the video, which I cannot recall the name of, shows just how rhythms actually became rhythms, and the regard that it was done for utility. And it may have been that people were pounding maize, so multiple people around a bowl with a stick, with several sticks, and before you know it, everyone's going and there's a rhythm that's made. And now this is the maize rhythm, for an example. But just for us to even say, oh, that makes so much sense. You know, I never really thought of it that way. I just thought it was something that we did. But to really recognize that there's nothing new, but to see how things are connected, so that as we see that they're connected, we realize that we're connected.